Okay, so the goal, so I already gave you the caveat that I am not Google Master. Judy's Google Master, but hopefully she'll jump in with things that I'm not doing quite right, or easier ways to do things. But again, my goal for this session is to familiarize yourself, or to familiarize you with what the teacher screen looks like and what the student screen looks like when it comes to using the classwork tab in Google Classroom. So I'm going to take control of your screen here for a minute and make sure I've got two screens going. So, oh, and by the way, I have a whiny dog. So for some reason, he's decided to be whiny right now. So if you hear me speaking to him, I'm trying to chill him out a little bit. So, all right, here we go. Okay, I gotta move one thing here so I can see. All right, can everybody see my screen that says laboratory class?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay, so I set up this fake Google Classroom because I wanted to have a place where I could trial run some things. I know, I just told them about you being whiny. Okay, so it's just, so here's where I can show you what the teacher screen is going to look like, and then I can show you what the student screen is going to look like. I'll just have to share screens back and forth. So I'm going to show you how to post something in the classwork as an assignment. And then I'm going to go through those steps, and then I'll stop and we can go back and you can ask questions or review. It's easier for me that I found if I just go through the process, and I promise I'll go slow, and then to go back around and do something again for you if you want to see it again, versus trying to break it up into a million little pieces. Okay. So just to give you a little bit of the lay of the land, obviously when you want to populate a class, you click on people. You can do it two ways, right? You can give your students the class code to enroll in the class, or you can type in their email address and add them to the class yourself. There's two ways that you can do that. So a lot of you sound like you have students populated in your classes already. So I'm not going to take a whole lot of time to do that unless somebody is desperate to see how that all works. But again, that's pretty straightforward and simple. Either share with them the class code, and then when they go to their Google Classroom, they can click on the join class, and then they can just put in this class code and then they're in. Or you can go to the people tab, you can go to students, click on add students, type in their email address, select it off the screen, and then click invite. You can also copy and paste a set of email addresses into this. Sometimes the formatting is a little wonky, so you just want to double check, but you can invite en masse.
Jason?
Yes, go ahead, Al.
It might be helpful for some of us. Yeah, it's Al. I've never seen what happens at the student end. So you could actually invite some of us right now, and we could see what that looks like, how it comes through to the join.
Yeah, I could do that. Let me, hold on just a second. So the tricky part,
all of us, because we would all like to see that, I think.
Yes, the tricky part for that is that I have found that a lot of your school domains are not, your email addresses don't cooperate well with my Google Classroom that I've set up. So when I try to put in your school email addresses, it gives me an error message. It doesn't like to jive with that. So I would need to put in everybody's personal email addresses, and I don't want to necessarily show everybody that right now. But what I can do is, if you want to send me an email to my email from your personal email or with your personal email address, I'll add you to this so that you can see what the student side looks like, if you want to do that. Let me put in the chat box, I'll put my email address.
Jason, do you know, I mean, could we accomplish the same thing by adding ourselves to our class? Or since we are the teacher, will it not allow us to do that? I've never tried that.
Actually, I tried that and I was able to do that.
So you are the administrator and a student in your own class?
I think actually what I had to do was I borrowed a kid's email that was not in Google Classroom with me. And I played around in the student side, and then I deleted that name as a student.
Okay.
The tricky part, Pam, is you're going to need to work in multiple windows and have like 2 Google accounts signed on simultaneously in 2 different browser windows, and that's a little tricky. It's not tricky to do it per se, but you just have to toggle back and forth between them. But I'm going to show you, and Al and everybody, I'm going to show you what the teacher screen looks like, and then I'm going to show you what the student screen looks like. So you'll get to see what it looks like. I set up two dummy Gmail accounts as students, and then I enrolled them in the class. So you'll get a chance to see what that looks like in just a minute. So even though I can't show you what the process looks like, I can at least tell you that if you click here and you type in your student's email address and you click invite, it will send them an invitation email. They click on the link, and then they're in the class.
Jason?
Or, yes, sir.
In my district, we can just type in a kid's name, first or last, and it puts it up there too. We don't have to do
you can do that too. If your system is all integrated, then yes, you can do that too. Just like Charlie said, you should just be able to type in your student's name, or it's like predictive text. You can start typing in their name, and often it'll pop up. It'll auto-populate for you. So that's in terms of getting people, okay? And then the other quick rundown, the stream is the default for Google Classroom. So any of you that did my crash course either the beginning of last week or the end of the week before, I forget, all the weeks run together, can you imagine? I went over a little bit of just how to dump things in the stream just to sort of get you started, okay? Which, you treat it like an announcement. So you would click here, put in whatever you want for a message to your students. You can decide which class or classes the message goes to. So you don't have to send it to everybody all the time, or you don't have to send it to just this one class. If you want to make an announcement to everybody, you can actually select all of your classes and send the same announcement to multiple classes in one go, if you want to do that. Likewise, you can decide which student or students. So I made Johnny Jones and Sally Smith today for my students in my class, my pretend students. In my 1 o'clock session, Johnny Jones did all the work and Sally Smith was the slacker. So maybe I'll switch that around this time if I can remember to do that. Just happened to be the way the chips fell for poor Sally. But so then you can type your announcement. You can click the add button if you want to add something from your Google Drive. If you have an image or something in your drive that you want to add, or like a Google Doc or something, you could. So if you click there, it will take you to your Google Drive. You just select the item that you want to attach and then click OK, and it will attach it to this announcement. Under link, you can link to an outside website. So maybe you want your students to go to a website and review it or give you their input on it or whatever. Then you can put the link right to the site and it will attach it right to I'm going to use the NAFME website. So notice once I said OK, it put the link right there. So now when the students click on that, it will take them right to the National Association for Music Education website. Or if you make a mistake and you said, oh, I didn't want that to be NAFME, I wanted that to be whatever, all you have to do is click the X and it will get rid of it. And then you can go do it again. So then you click add link, okay? You can attach a file. So if you happen to work on an Apple machine and you have like a Apple, I'm at a loss. What's the word processing program for Apple?
Pages.
Pages, there you go, sorry. If you have a Pages document or something like that that you want to attach, you can attach a file. Or, and this is the tricky one because some districts are okay with this and some are not. If your district's technology filter allows YouTube videos, you can attach a YouTube video right to this. And again, it's just like a link. It will just take you right to that YouTube video. And you can even preview the video before so it's not like you're putting a blind link on there and you're hoping that it's not something that's inappropriate. Before you post it, you get to see what the video is. Go ahead, Charlie.
I've used Safe Share TV, and that takes out all ads and unwanted content.
There you go. So Charlie,
I copy that link.
You'd want to use the, yep.
Go ahead.
You'd want to use the link version. Yep, exactly. You click on link, put the link in there, add link, and then that's a way that you can get around that.
It is free up to 20 examples, and then after that you have to pay a whopping $4 a month. So I've gone beyond 20, so that's what I'm doing. But it's safesharetv.com, and it's real easy to use.
Got it. Got it. Thanks for the resource, Charlie. That's awesome. Yes.
Cautionary tale about Pages documents and other documents that Google Docs do not like is that when they're added here, the students will have to download the document in order to view it. It gives a rather unfriendly screen when they try and open it.
Yep. Yep. So that's why, I mean, obviously being a Google proprietary platform, they want you to use Google Docs. Essentially, that's why it's designed to be dovetailed with that. So I would suggest anytime that you can use Google Docs, Google Sheets, Google Forms, et cetera, et cetera. That's what I suggest. It seems to work better.
About those links. So one of the things that I shared with some of my elementary kids today was a great version of All God's Children Got a Place in the Choir that I found actually on Facebook. And I downloaded it and I got the URL and I copied the link and I linked it up. And like you said, I could preview it to make sure that it worked before I hit post. And I had one student that said she was not able to open the link. Now, do you suppose that was because of her weird internet up here on the border, or was that something that, because I checked it in my Google Classroom and it worked. So anybody know anything about that?
That sounds to me that's probably more of a permissions thing on her end.
Okay.
That your permissions and her permissions are different. Yeah, that's what I would suggest would be the issue there.
I think she was on a home device as opposed, because our elementary students do not have devices from school.
Sure. So that's probably where that fell, was that it was a permissions thing. Yeah. So so the purpose today, so I just wanted to do a quick overview of the People tab and the Stream tab, but the purpose is to work in the Classroom tab today. So on the teacher screen, you're going to find that you have 4 tabs at the top. Okay. The fourth tab, Grades, that's missing from the student screen. In fact, I can share my student screen right now and show you that you can, let me see if I can move that. Can you see now on my student screen, I have Stream, Classwork, and People. I don't have a Grades tab. So this is what your students will see versus what you see. You have that extra tab. I'm going to go back to my teacher screen because I want to work in that a bit. So I'm going to click the Classwork tab, and here's where I can create a series of different assignments. So I'm going to create a few assignments. I'm going to go through the process to create one right now, and then I'll stop and answer any questions, go back, show you how to do it again. I'm going to create a couple different types of assignments in this hour-and-a-half session just so that you can get a little flavor for it. And then, as always, I encourage you to, well, first of all, I encourage you to set up a sample class in your Google Classroom so that you can have a place to go play, like a sandbox, and not have any students enrolled in it, so that you can play around with some of these things before you try to do it in a real classroom. Just a suggestion that I always have is to set up a sample class, okay?
Can you play if you have no students in the class? Or does it say,
can you what now?
Can you still go play around if there are no students in the class? Or will it say you have to populate the field with at least one,
nope.
Even if it's a fake student?
No, you can create assignments in an empty class. You can do all that stuff. The only thing that you wouldn't be able to go through, Pam, is practicing any of the grading and returning work. Because I'll show you with my 2 sample students that I have in this class, I'll show you how you can assign a piece. So my goal for this session is that by the time we're done, I've shown you how to make an assignment, assign it to students, have them do the work, submit it to you so you can see what it looks like on your screen. You can grade it, send it back to them. You can return it to them with a grade, and then you can see what they get to see at the end. So there's a lot of back and forth there, but it's pretty slick once you get a chance to work with it a bit.
Okay, thank you.
And I'll be You're welcome. And I'm happy to be a student in any sample class that any of you want to create. If you want to send me a class code, I'm happy to sign up and be a student in your class and work with you on things that way, if that's helpful. Okay. So let's create an assignment, shall we? So I'm in the classwork tab. I'm going to come over to the blue button that says create. And I'm going to start with a question. Because some of you may just have, like, you may want to start simple and just say, I want to do a question of the day for my students. Okay. So you have two different types of questions that you can ask. The default is a short answer. You can also ask a multiple choice question if you want. So I'm going to keep it with a short answer. So where it says question, obviously I put my cursor there and I'm going to ask my question. How did you spend yesterday afternoon? Pretty simple question. Instructions are optional. As you can see, it says optional, but I want my students to be, or you want your students to be a little more specific about it. Okay, you don't want to just accept a two-word answer. You want to give them some parameters to work with. So I gave them three parameters there, right? Who you met, what you saw, and where you went. Three simple parameters laid right out there. If you want to, your question could be related to maybe a PDF document that you have in your Google Drive, or a website that you want them to go to. You have a question related to the website. So again, just like in the stream, if you click add, you have this drop-down menu of different options of things that you can attach to this question. So again, maybe you want them to read something that you wrote in a Google Doc and respond to it. So you could add the document if you went to Google Drive. You could add a link to a website. You could have your students go to a website, look at a home page, and then ask them a question about it. You could attach a file, or you could attach a YouTube video. Those are the four default standard options. And really, if you think about it, of these four options, you can cover just about everything that you would ever need or want to attach to a question or an assignment. And if you decide you don't want to add anything, just click add again and it goes away. Likewise, if you get in here and you say, oh, I totally forgot to create that Word document that I want them to respond to, if you click on create, you can actually create the Word document right in this assignment. And what it will do is it will attach it. It'll show up as an attachment to this question. It'll be these buttons will go down and it will appear right there. Yes, Pam?
If you create the assignment in Google Classroom, can you then save it to like your Drive or save it in the documents?
It's automatically saved to your Drive, and in fact, it will automatically save to whichever class folders you decide you want to assign this question to.
Okay.
Yeah. And so what Google Classroom does on the Google Drive, the back end of this, is it creates a series of folders and subfolders in order to organize all of the assignments and the work that your students are creating. So it actually is remarkably organized. Going in and finding some of that can be a little bit daunting because of the folder within a folder within a folder that sometimes it will set up, but it will organize it all for you. Google does a very good job of keeping everything organized that way. So let's say I ask my question, I've given specific instructions, and now I want to decide which class or classes I want to assign that to. Now, somebody said earlier, I think, that they have lots and lots of classes and they want to be able to maybe make an assignment once and have it apply to multiple classes and not have to create the assignment multiple times. Where it says 4, if you click that drop-down menu, again, you can decide how many classes or which classes you want to receive this question. And even within that, you can decide, like, for example, let me get a little cheeky here, and oh, it's not going to let me do that. Okay, never mind, sorry. Let me do it this way. So of the students that I have in this class, if I only want Johnny Jones to get it, I can actually, so the default is all students get it, but I can unselect that, and I can select it so just Johnny gets that question. So if you really want to be advantageous, you could give every student in your class a different question. Depends on how many hours in a day you have, how you want to spend it, okay? So, but typically, you know, the default is everybody gets the question of the day, okay? So once I've decided which class or classes I want to get this question and which student or students I want to get this question, and again, the default is everyone, so you don't necessarily have to change this every time. I'm just showing you where you can select specific students if you want. You can then decide on whether you want this to have a point value attached to it, or you can make it ungraded. It's up to you in that drop-down menu. Let's make it worth 10 points, just for fun. You can get specific on a due date right now. So the default is that there is no due date. Like I said in the previous session, you may have students that are saying now that learning has gone online, there are no due dates for anything. Not true. Google's got you covered, okay, teachers? Google has got you covered. If you click your drop-down menu here and you click where it says no due date, it actually pops up with a calendar so you can decide which day you want this question to be answered by. And if you really want to get into it, you can actually set a time as the deadline of when it is then officially late. It will still accept answers and submissions of work after that, but it notifies the student and you that it was submitted late. It's got a nice little red bar on it. Yep.
And it tells you how late it was, because I'm in another class and one of the students turned in an answer today and it says turned in 3 days late.
Right, because everything's timestamped, which is fantastic. So there's none of this, you know, I gave it to you. If in Google Classroom, if you gave it to me, it's there. If you didn't give it to me, it's not there. Just doesn't work any other way. So I'm just going to get rid of that because I don't want to have a due date on this. I mean, I could, but I don't necessarily want to. And then here's where you may want to start organizing things under topics a little bit. So I'm just going to call this question of the day. That's going to be my topic, so that I can then go through all of my assignments in my classwork tab, and I'll show you where you can click on that, and it will show you all of the assignments that fit under that topic automatically. So if you just want to see all of your questions of the day, if you're like, I don't know if I've asked that question yet or not, you can actually pull up every assignment and see every question that you've asked so that you can know whether you want to repeat yourself or not repeat yourself. Under the question, in classwork, you can give the students an opportunity to reply to each other. That's a default setting. You can always uncheck that. If you want them to not be able to reply to each other's postings, or each other's responses to the question, you can simply unselect that, and then it just will not give them a comment box with which to comment. You can also give them an opportunity to edit their answer too, if you want. So the default is that the top one is checked and the bottom one isn't. You can go through and you can check both of them if you want, or you can uncheck both of them. It's up to you. So far, so good? Thumbs up, head nod, okay? So once I've set my parameters here, I can then just go up and click the blue button that says Ask. And then I'll show you. So in yours, here's your topic heading. Notice that I now have a topic over on the left-hand button, or the left-hand panel. It says question of the day. If I have multiple assignments in here, which you'll have a variety of different types of assignments in the classwork tab. If I come over here and click question of the day, it will only pull up my questions of the day, or my reading assignments, or my quizzes, or whatever you decide on for a topic. Or if you click all topics, it will just put them back in the order that you posted them. So let me switch screens real quick. And I'll show you what the student side looks like for that, because I created that. So notice now it says the stream was updated. There's something new that I've created as a teacher. So I'm now in my Johnny Jones account. So if I click show, all of a sudden now down in the stream, I can either click classwork or I can click stream. Either way, here's my assignment. So it says, Jason Anderson posted a new question, and it tells me what the question is. If I click on this, it tells me, here's my question. How did you spend yesterday afternoon? The instructions, oh, sorry. It shows that I posted it and the timestamp when I posted it as the teacher, how many points it's worth, the specific instructions, and then over here, a place for me to type my answer. Here's my answer, especially on Friday, because we're supposed to get more snow. So here you go. I know, I see eye rolls there.
Mm-hmm.
So I wrote my answer, and then I click, I can click turn it in. As the student, if I'm ready to submit my answer, I click turn in. If I click private comments, if I put something here, it means that Johnny Jones, student, is going to send me, the teacher, a specific private message. So use your imagination about what that message could be. It could be anything. You know, I'm not allowed to go outside by myself after school, or my parents weren't home, or what, you know, it could be anything. They could mistakenly put it here if they want, or they could send it to you privately. It's really up to how you want to work with them on that. Okay. So if I click turn in, it's saying you won't be able to make changes, because remember when I set up the assignment, I said that I didn't want them to be able to edit their answer. If I did say that, it would give them, after they posted this answer, it would give them a chance to go back and edit it. But right now it's like, this is your answer, that's it. So I'm going to click turn in. And then on the student screen, it's showing me what my answer is. If I go back to my teacher screen now, I'll show you what it looks like once I've submitted this assignment. If I can refresh this, hold on. Here we go. All right, so here's my assignment. If I click on it, it will show me what the assignment was, and it will tell me that one person has turned it in and one is still outstanding. Again, Johnny Jones did his work, Sally Smith didn't. Slacker. If I click on turned in, it shows me Johnny Jones's answer right there. If I come over here and click on Sally, it will show me that she hasn't submitted anything yet. But if I come back over and click on Johnny, because he's under the turned in, it tells me that he turned it in, and then here's what his answer is. If I click in this box next to Johnny Jones, and I like his answer, I can give him a 10 out of 10. Notice as soon as I put in a grade there, a score, the return button up here lights up, and it selects him. This is giving me the option to return this assignment as a graded assignment to him. So he'll be able to see that he got a 10 out of 10. So I like this. I can also write him a private comment. And if I click send, it will attach it to there. Okay. I can come over here and I can edit that if I decide, if I change my mind. I only want to give him a 9 out of 10. In my private comment, I can give him feedback on why he didn't get a 10 out of 10. But we'll say he's okay with a 9 out of 10. If I then come up to return, I can write another private comment if I want. But notice it says student will be notified and can check any grade that you've left. I do want to return this. You can grade multiple students in one setting and then return all of their assignments at the same time to different students simultaneously. And then, let me go back to my student screen one more time, and then I promise I'll take a break so that people can ask questions. I know I'm going through lots of screens here, but so if I come back over here, notice that if I refresh that screen, it tells me that it was graded. Up here, it shows me that I got a 9 out of 10. And then it gives the private comment that I wrote back to him. He can write a comment back to me if he wants. So maybe Johnny wants to say, hey, Mr. Anderson, how could I get the extra point for this? How can I make this a 10 out of 10? This allows you to have a dialogue privately with each student on their own work by using this private comment feature. All right, I stopped sharing my screen for a minute. I know that was a lot. Is there any, I'm gonna go back and create another different assignment and we're gonna go through similar features. So, but is there anything about any of that that you'd like to see again, or you wanna have a little more? Go ahead, Pam.
I don't need to see it again, but I'm curious, once you've returned an assignment, since it's digital, do you still have access to it? Or once it's returned to them, is it now their property and you don't see it again?
No, you still have it. I mean, Judy, help me out, but I'm pretty sure you still have it, right? As the teacher? Yeah. Yeah, what it does is, Pam, it ends up creating like ghost copies of things. And so they have it and can edit it and send it back to you, but you still get to see it. And you can see the history of everything too.
So if you
which is kind of cool.
They've given you 10 assignments, you have returned them all, they know what all their grades are, but you can still go back and review all of those assignments from Johnny.
Correct. Correct.
Okay.
That lives, remember you have a grades tab on your page?
Yep.
That's where all that lives. It's like a quasi online grade book.
Okay.
Yep. So yes, you get to retain all of that.
Okay.
Good question. Yes, please.
I've got one. We can initiate a private comment box on that right side. Submit. Can the students initiate a private comment if they've got a question or something that as they're doing the work?
Yes, as soon as they open the assignment, that private comment option is available to them, and they can write you. Yeah, so if they open up all the attachments that you've sent them and they read the assignment and they've tried to do the work and they're confused, they can write you a private comment and then send that to you, and then it will appear on your dashboard, and you'll be able to address that. Yes, Charlie.
Is there any way when you're is there any way to set up the classroom so that you don't see all the comments in the stream? Because that gets really, as our tech advisor said, it gets really muddy. I keep seeing kids making comments and it goes to the class.
Yes, that's in your settings, in your overall settings. Let me show you how to address that. Let me share my screen again. If you as the teacher, go to your People tab and then come over here to your settings, here's where you get to set up some of the items within your classroom. If you come down here to the stream, the default is students can post and comment. If you change that to only teachers can post or comment, then that gets rid of all the student comments out of the stream. They're gone.
But
Yep.
They can still make a comment, it just goes to only the teacher? Where do their comments go?
No, if you select this, they can't comment on anything in the stream. So
you can also
here you can
mute an individual too. So if you have a child that keeps interrupting the stream,
yes.
You can mute them so
yes.
they can't anymore.
Yep. Judy, can you remind me how to do that? Do you have to go back to the people tab?
Yeah.
You click on each student right over here.
I know
right?
if it pops up in the stream, like if someone made an inappropriate comment directly in the stream, there are the 3 little dots beside it. And right there, there's a mute student. That's how I always do it.
Okay.
Yep, absolutely. I think that, you're absolutely right. I remember how to do that. At the bottom of my screen, see where the 3 little dots show up next to a student's name. So that always lets you know that there's some sort of option attached to that. So here, if I click on it in this tab, I can email that student directly through Gmail. If it's in the stream, like Judy said, I can delete that comment or I can mute that student so that they can't type anything in the stream anymore.
You know,
so Charlie, it may be something. Oh, go ahead, Judy.
I also think it's a great, before you even start this, granted it's hard to do when you're at home, but if you do it in the classroom, to have a whole conversation on digital citizenship and the fact that this is an environment that you may need to be using in the workplace at some point, and that it's inappropriate for you to do that, just like shouting out an answer in class. You can't just shout out what you want. You can't just post what you want to in the stream and you will be muted. I set that up and I haven't had any problems since we've gone home to online learning. So.
Yep, absolutely. A+.
But once you've asked the students not to comment, can they still privately comment to you, or are those private comments also shut off?
I think they can still privately.
I think they can still private. Yeah, they can still send a private comment to you especially if it's assignment related.
Perfect.
Yeah, absolutely. It doesn't take that away because Google's has built in that capacity in the platform for you and the student to be able to have a dialogue. Even if it's a typed dialogue, it still is an opportunity for you to be able to converse with them privately.
Great.
Which will come in handy. So,
Thank you.
You're welcome. Is everybody comfortable with me creating another assignment, a different type of assignment, and we can then go through some of the similar steps? Thumbs up or head nod from people?
I just had one thing on the last one that might be useful for some people.
Yeah, go ahead,
Judy. Question. You can set it so they can respond to each other. And so I often do like an opinion question because I teach general music. Like I might say, what do you prefer, country music or rock music? You need to respond, and we talk about how to respond appropriately. And they have to submit their response, and then they can respond to other people. So that's sort of cool, especially with distance learning. They'd have some interaction with each other. You'd have to monitor it.
Absolutely.
But I've never had problems with it. They're always very respectful, especially if you tell them that you're assigning a grade to it. If they do it appropriately, they get like 2 bonus points or whatever. So that way you could just do more interaction from home.
And to add to that, just like in the stream, if they end up under the classwork tab, if they end up replying to a classmate's post and it's not an appropriate post, you can always get rid of it as well. You have the same control in the classwork tab as you do in the stream tab. So yeah, it's something, if it's in your school culture and you're comfortable with it, you can definitely, I encourage you to use that opportunity, excuse me, for students to be able to respond to each other's postings. However, it may be something that you need to work up to, or it may not be something for this venue right now, but once we get back to real life, we can, you can maybe incorporate some of this a little bit more. And like Judy said, you can do some digital citizenship with that to sort of lay the groundwork for being able to use that.
Jason,
good questions, one and all. Yes, go ahead.
When the students are allowed to reply to each other, do those then become private conversations between them, or does the teacher get to see those conversations?
Everybody gets to see all of those. Students don't have the option to private comment to each other. They can only private comment between the teacher and themselves. So anything that they type, any comments that they type to add, so like on let's see, I can't, it's not on the screen. Hold on, let me share my other screen real quick and I can show you. So like on this screen, see where it says add class comment? They can, anything that they type there and they click submit or send, that will end up going into all of this. It's only when it says add private comment is where that goes directly between teacher and student. class comment is everybody can see everything.
And in those class comments, Jason, is there any way to turn off the email notification for every single class comment?
Yes, that's back in your People tab again.
Okay.
Let me switch screens again. If you go to, no, it's not, sorry, it's not your People tab. I think it's in your General Settings tab.
So under Stream?
No, maybe it isn't. Is it under Stream?
I don't know.
No, I think it's under People. And if you go over here, where? Oh, no, you know what, Pam? That's in a General Settings. Hold on. If I come out to all of my classes,
yeah,
and then I click, Judy, help me out. Do you remember where that is where you can turn off the email notifications for a class?
Is it in the drop-down arrow on the title?
Yeah.
I know where it is, because I've done a bunch of.
Ellen, can you jump in, Ellen? Which tab is it? Do you remember?
Yeah, you see the 3 lines next to where it says laboratory classes?
Yes, yes.
Left hand, click down, and then scroll down.
Oh, yep, there's your settings. Yep.
Yeah, click on settings.
See that, Pam?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now you're going to want to scroll down and see email notifications.
Yeah. Okay.
So these are all your options, and they're
Yeah.
all defaulted on because Google says, yep.
Yeah. But if you go down, it should be an advanced setting all the way down. You can turn email and mobile notifications off for a class. So you can do separate classes or whatever you want.
And it also says it right up there at the top.
Yep.
You just scroll by it right under notifications, right there.
Yep. So Google says, hey, don't you want to receive email notifications for any time anybody even looks at something?
Making me crazy.
Right? Absolutely.
Yeah,
why not? Fill your inbox. It's good business for Gmail, right? So thank you, Ellen, for showing me. I remember there was a general settings for all of your classes. I couldn't remember where that was off the top of my head. Thank you. I'm going to go back to my pretend class now. All right. You want me to make another assignment? I'll make a different type of assignment this time.
Yep.
Okay. So I'm going to go back to my classwork tab. I'm going to click create again. And this time I'm going to I'll create an assignment. Last time I did a question. This time I'm just going to do a straight up assignment. So maybe this is a written assignment. Excuse me, I want my students to do.
So just for a moment on that email notification, that's why I keep getting notifications that somebody's made a comment.
Right.
Yep.
Oh, I'm going to take that off. Thank you.
I know, isn't that
absolutely?
brilliant?
Oh yeah.
It's like I don't want to know.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Right. Switch it. If you switch that master one off at the top, Charlie, it should turn them all off.
Yeah,
and then you can then go in and manually look at what's going on.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yep. You're welcome. All right. So can you see my new assignment that says music genre critique? Okay. So that's the title of my assignment. Here I would give my instructions. I realized that those instructions are not clear, but I made them up on the fly, so just roll with me on that. So blah, 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 whatever your instructions are, okay? Again, if your assignment has something to do with a a paragraph that you want them to read, or a video that you want them to watch, or a song that you want them to listen to, or a chart that you want them to examine. Over here under that Add tab again, you can decide where you want to pull that from, or you can simply create something right now while you're making the assignment. Chances are likely you've made it before now, but if you haven't, Google gives you a chance to create whatever it is that you want them to reference right in here. Okay? Over here again on the right-hand tab, these are all of, or right-hand side of your screen, the right-hand pane, these are all of your customizing features for this. But you'll notice now that when we posed a question, we didn't have the option of having a rubric attached to it. And we did dabble in this a little bit the week before last, or last week, whenever I did my crash course. I think it may have been the beginning of last week. We played around with this a little bit. I'm going to create a new topic for this just because I want to show you how you can have multiple topics to work with. So this is going to be, oops. This topic's going to be writing assignments. And I do want to create a rubric for this one. So if I click on the Add Rubric or the plus rubric, notice that it gives me an option to create a rubric. I can reuse a rubric from another assignment, or if you happen to have a rubric or rubrics created in a Google Sheet, you can actually import it right from a Google Sheet. If you've used Google Spreadsheet to create rubrics, you can actually import, and it will do all of the formatting for you, which is pretty slick. Pretty cool. But I'm going to just create the rubric right now. So if I click Create Rubric, it's going to take me to a different page, okay, or a page within this assignment, okay? I want to use this rubric for scoring. So one criteria is going to be my writing elements. Notice that you have to give the criteria a name, but you don't have to necessarily give the criteria description. That's not really required, but we're going to grade them based on usual writing conventions. Okay, so this does take a little bit of time to set up, but notice that when we're going to add a rubric to the assignment, you could reuse a rubric. So once you create this, it's in your Google world, and you'll be able to reuse it for all your other writing assignments after this. If it's a standard rubric that you want to use for writing assignments, or for listening assignments, or for math assignments, or whatever your subject matter may be, okay? Here's where you can customize what you want for point values. So let's say you want to do a 4-point rubric scale. So 4 is, I put exceeds the standard in there for all of you people who love that term, exceeds the standard. See, I see the grins, that's good. Some people are still stuck in that world. Down here under description, this is where you can write your little narrative about what it means, what the work looks like that exceeds the standard. So all the little sub-criteria that it would need to have, you know, 0 grammatical mistakes, spelling 100% accurate, blah, 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 blah. You'd add all of that in, okay? When you click the plus sign here, it gives you another level to work with. So now if I want to have meets the standard, and here I would write out what my descriptors are. So just for fun, okay, I'll add one more just for example. Okay, so let's say that's my rubric. I'm only going to have one criteria that I'm going to evaluate them on. You could have one criteria be writing elements. One would be length. One would be, I mean, you could fill out however many criteria you wanted to have for this rubric, but I'm just going to have one just to kind of keep the thing rolling. If I click save, it now has created that rubric, and it shows that it's attached right over here to this assignment. In that lower right-hand corner where I click to create it, it's now there. Now that I've written my assignment, I've given the specific instructions, I've decided on the grade, I probably want my point value to match my rubric. That would make sense, wouldn't it? I can then click Assign, and I'll show you now. It's created a new topic. Notice over on my left-hand pane, I now have writing assignments and question of the day. If I click on question of the day, it's going to produce just that assignment or anything that's under that topic. If I click writing assignments, it's only the assignments that are part of that topic. So you can quickly sort those. You can click all topics and it will show you everything in chronological order. The student screen looks similar. I'll show you. And if anybody has a question along the way, just chime in and I will stop, I promise. If I come back out here, notice that it says I've posted a new assignment. If I click on that assignment, it gives me the title of the assignment, gives me the directions, tells me that it's worth 4 points. So my first block is that it exceeds the standard, 3 points meets the standard, 2 points partially meets the standard. This expands the rubric out for me so that I can read what a 4 looks like, what a 3 looks like, what a 2 looks like, what a 1 looks like, what a 0 looks like if I had gone on and finished the rubric. I can now, as the student, remember this is the student screen, it shows me that it's been assigned, and this is my work box over here. If I click add or create, I can either add a document. So if I went to my Google Drive and created a Google Doc and I wrote this assignment, I could go to my Drive and I could attach it. If I just open up this assignment and I say, oh, okay, I'm going to start writing it right now, I can click create docs and it will create a Google Doc with the assignment name and my name attached automatically. So no longer do we have assignments submitted without names on them in Google World. Google automatically puts their name. In fact, I'll show you. If I click on that, what it's going to do is it's going to put a Google Doc right here. And notice it says Johnny Jones, music genre critique. If I click on that, look up here, name and assignment, student name and assignment. I can write my assignment in my own special custom language. It automatically saves everything, right? Everything's all saved in Google World, which is fantastic. Notice that it now has a turn-in button attached to it. They don't necessarily have to go back now and attach it to submit it.
Wait,
it's already there.
Turn-in button. Where's your turn-in button?
Right here, up in the corner. Do you see my cursor moving around, Pam?
Yeah.
Okay, up here where it says share, right next to it says turn in.
Oh, is that under all the little pictures on our screen?
Our Zoom faces are covering it.
Oh, sorry, yes. Yeah. Yes, if you move your Zoom faces, you can see it. Yes, it's right next to the share button.
Okay.
Grab an upper edge. Grab an upper edge and move it around.
There you go. You can either click turn in there. The student could click turn in to submit it, or they could just go back to here. It's all saved in there. They could click turn in here. They could do it either place, right from the assignment or back on, right from the document that they're completing, their work, or back in the classroom in the assignment. They could do it either way. So I'm going to pretend Johnny's made that. It's right here. And then he's decided that he wants to turn it in. They're going to say, you have one attachment. Are you ready to turn in your work? Click turn in.
So there it didn't say that he couldn't make changes.
Correct, because it's a different type of assignment.
Okay.
In the class, yeah. So it's not something that you would necessarily have them be able to make changes to before you get to apply a treatment to it before you get to score it, essentially.
There is an
So let me show you what.
button.
Yes, they do have an unsubmit button. That's right. Yep. Thank you, Al. So Pam, if they turned it in and they said, oh, geez, I totally wrote, like I had the wrong Google Doc open and I wrote my history assignment on my music assignment and I attached the wrong thing. If they come up here to unsubmit, they can get it back.
Okay.
They can open it back up, or they can X out of here. They can add a different document, and then they can turn it in again.
Okay.
There's always that option. Right. Thank you, Al, for pointing that out. I forgot that they could get that back. You're absolutely right. So now, one more screen share, and then I'll stop for a minute again for everybody. So now if I come over to I'm going to refresh my page. If I click on this assignment, again, it will show me that, it shows me the rubric that's attached, what the assignment was, that one person has turned it in, and it's still outstanding for one student. Click on your turned in if you want to grade them, click on that. This brings up your student work for that assignment. Again, under turned in, it will have all the students' names that have submitted it, or if they haven't submitted it, it will be under assigned. So it's still assigned to them, they just haven't submitted any work yet. Notice if I click on Johnny Jones, here's his document. Here's his rubric. Again, I can expand the rubric out. If I've forgotten what the criteria were, I can expand it out to see it. I just wrote it, so I know what it is. I know that Johnny didn't do squat with this. Sorry, Johnny, you're getting a 1 out of 4. You submitted something. Yes, Debbie.
So can you select the number on that rubric? Like when you expand it out, let's say they got a 3. Can you click on that 3 standard and will it assign?
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to know. Thank you.
Cool, huh?
Yep.
But since Johnny didn't do squat, I'm not even giving him a 2.
I got
Like he typed gibberish. I mean, give me a break. Come on, Johnny. Get with the program. Think remote schooling doesn't count. Go ahead, Pam.
If you in your rubric do not have 1 as an option, can you still assign a 1?
Sure can. It's probably going to confuse your students, but you can. So I would suggest that when you set up your rubric, if you want a 4-point rubric, you have criteria for, or you have qualifier sub-criteria for each of those levels.
Or could
you can have it be an all or nothing.
Or could you just not give it a grade until it is the rubric you expect? It's a 0 until you get either a 3 or a 4.
Yeah, you could do that. I would just say that you would need to put that in the instructions to the student so that they would know ahead of time. Yep. But notice. Oh, go ahead, Debbie.
I was just going to say, in my experience, and because this is not directly linked to your grade book, there's much less follow through on Google Classroom unless, than when you put the grade in your book. So a 0 on
Google what, Debbie?
Classroom, yeah.
Debbie, you're absolutely right. But you know what I used to tell my students when I used Google Classroom for years? I used to tell them that I'm going to take your grade from Google Classroom grade book and I'm going to put it in PowerSchool.
Okay.
So that I just told them that is for all intents and purposes, the grade book that I have through Google Classroom, whatever's recorded there is just going to get copied over. And you can actually export all of that in a Google spreadsheet. Mm-hmm. You can export all of those scores, and then all you have to do is, depending on your student information system, your online grade book, if you use PowerSchool or Infinite Campus or whatever, you sometimes can just copy and paste en masse, and it does a lot of that work for you.
There's also an app called Grade Transfer. I know we've been accepted to use an Infinite Campus in Bangor. And it literally, you go to where the grades are, and you click on it's an extension, click on grab the information. It grabs all the students' names and their grades for the assignment. And then you go into Infinite Campus and you go to fill grades. And then you just say transfer, and it plugs it right in.
That's awesome.
That's
totally cool. Very cool.
Grade transfer.
So let me, because we're running a little short on. Go ahead, Pam. Sorry.
Is it gradetransfer.com?
It's just grade transfer, and it's an extension. It's Google extension.
It's a Google Chrome extension, Pam. So you need
believe.
to go to the you need to go to the extensions in Chrome to get it. And I can walk you through how to do that later if you want.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So
Okay,
I just want to finish this process. Oh, go ahead, Al.
If you open that Johnny Jones document, does the rubric show there as well?
You know, I don't know. Does Judy know? Yes. Shows over on the right-hand panel.
Awesome.
Everybody see that? Yep. So I can expand this out and see. I can select based on what I've written what I want the score to be, or I can customize it here.
Okay.
I can also return his work right from here. So I need to add a private comment to Johnny. Please take this assignment seriously. If I click post, it still hasn't gone to Johnny yet. All it's done is attach that private comment to his assignment. Once I've graded it and I've given him whatever feedback I want to give him, if I click return, it will submit it back to him. It's going to say, you want him to see that he got a 1 out of 4. It's going to, here you go. He's going to be notified as soon as you do this. If I click return, it's going to send it back to Johnny. I'm going to go to my other screen. Just a second. And if I refresh, it's going to say that it's been graded. If you look in the upper corner. And, oh, it kept my 4 out of 4. Shoot. Okay. So anyway, if I had kept my 1 out of 4, he would have seen that he totally bombed it. But down here in the private comment, please take this assignment seriously. Okay, Mr. Anderson, I'll go back and redo it. Which, you know, you may have 500 students that do that, but, you know, at least they're going to keep you busy, right? Your teachers in school isn't open right now, so what are you going to do, right? You have lots of time to do this. Wink, wink. I understand. I totally get that. That's
your 1 out of 4 is still there.
Oh, it is? Oh, hold on. Why am I seeing a 4 out of 4?
Right up there.
Got it. 1 out of 4 up here. Got it. I wonder why it's here.
That must be the assignment grade, and the 4 out of 4 is what you gave him on the rubric.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Just was highlighted in the rubric.
Got it. This is aspirational for Johnny Jones. Come on, Johnny Jones. Shoot for a 4, brother. You can do it. But yes, 1 out of 4 is what he got. He can write a private comment back to me, and he could resubmit this. He could open this up, do whatever he needs to do, resubmit it, send me another note, and that's how you can go back and forth with your students. So there's 2 different types of assignments that you can do, and there are others as well. Like, as Judy can attest to, there's a whole rabbit hole on Google quizzes, going into Google Forms and creating quizzes that are like, that's a session for another day or 2 that can be quite deep, but also very fulfilling. So maybe, Judy, if we've got some time, maybe you and I could collaborate on a session coming up where you might be able to guide people through that. That might be a cool thing. We can talk. Oh, you hit the wrong button, I think.
And let me start my video again.
There you go. It's okay.
There we go. Yeah.
Oh, we lost you again, Judy. It's your internet.
There you go.
There you go.
You hear me okay? Yeah, sorry, my internet's really spotty. But yeah, it's a little bit of a learning curve, but once you learn how to do it, it saves so much time. So
agreed.
Like, the first time I did it, it literally one like multiple choice quiz for like 10 questions. But once I learned how to do it, I do all of my quizzes that way.
Yep, absolutely. And like Judy said, it's a little bit of a learning curve. It's a little bit of a steep slope, but once you get it, it's a super time saver because you can design. Google has designed a way for quizzes to be auto graded. So if you do multiple choice quizzes, you can indicate what the right answer is, and then when you assign it out and you get it back, Google will automatically score it for you.
And the kids can get them in multiple, like everyone has a different question at a different time, and everyone has a different answer order.
Yep.
Oh, that's nice.
It'll mix up the question order so that no students get the same configuration. Pretty awesome.
I put it in the chat too, but Judy, is it really transfer-er?
Yes, grade transfer-er.
Okay.
I know. That's what it does. It transfers grades. Really original time, huh?
I have a question, but it's not related to this. Debbie Sykes, do you teach at 5th Street Middle School?
No, I teach at Cohen.
Oh.
Which is
I do.
Garland Street.
Judith, you're at 5th Street?
I'm at 5th Street, yeah. Debbie's at what used to be Garland Street.
Oh. Is Mrs. Morcus still teaching there?
She is. She's retiring this year.
Oh my goodness. I had her in 6th grade, like back in 91 or 92. Give her a big hug. She probably won't remember me.
I will. Yeah,
What a year to retire, huh?
Yeah. Oh, God. No kidding.
I feel
I'm
badly
considering it at this point.
And kids graduating this year. It's going to be strange.
I don't blame you, Charlie, at all for considering it. Totally, I get that.
Us old farts can't do this too well.
There you go. Well, you know what, Charlie? I'm going to help you limp along just as much as we can, okay?
Yep.
Judith, can I
see what we
have
can do.
your email address? Like, could you type it in the comments?
For Ann versus Marcus?
For Mrs. Marcus, yeah.
Yep. I'll do it right now.
Thank you.
And hey, everybody, I'm putting in the chat box too the link to the Google form so you can get your 1.5 PD hours certificate for this. So if you fill out that Google form and click submit, it will email a certificate to you, and it should be pretty quick. If you end up having any trouble getting your certificate, give me a shout. Again, my email is jason.anderson@maine.gov. I think I put that in the chat box, but I'll put it in again for you right now real quick. I do so many of these, I can't remember if I've covered that or not. So, and I'm available anytime. If anybody wants to try anything out, you know, give me a shout, send me an email, invite me to be a student in one of your classes if you want to try something out. I'm totally cool with that. Again, I'm going to do a follow-up session to this on Friday afternoon at 2 p.m. So if you decide that you want to try this out for a couple days and then you want to come back with a list of questions, or you know, you need some targeted instruction on how to set up X, Y, or Z, we can handle that on Friday afternoon. And Judy and I'll talk about maybe setting up a session next week where we can go over making some quizzes a little bit, walk you through how to do that. Yes, thank you to everybody for being here today. I hope this was helpful for you. I look forward to your feedback. So be as honest on that form as you want to be, as you can be. And if there's something that you want to tell me that there isn't a place on the Google form, send me an email. Really, I want to get better at this and be able to help you in ways that you need it. So let me know. Any parting thoughts from anybody? Anything that you want to share?
I saw something really cool that I didn't realize before about this whole thing. Is I've given my students an assignment, and about the Google Classroom folder in my Drive has all of their individual documents in it, and I can see that they're working on them without them turning it into me. And I can see their progress in that folder because that's basically a folder of all their shared docs. So I sorted my assignment list and found out that I actually have about 30 students who have at least opened the document and written something on it, which is encouraging because only one has turned something in. So that's kind of cool.
Right. Absolutely. So yeah, I mean, as teachers, we sometimes we stop and say, did they get the assignments? Did everybody get what? But yeah, like Al said, you can actually go see that they have in fact opened it and they've started it, or they're in progress or something like that. And that, Pam, gets back to a question you had earlier about the fact that Google organizes all of this stuff in your Drive by class. each class has a folder, and then within there are assignment folders, and then within the assignment folders are student folders.
Yeah, and it also answers the fact that it's always there, no matter who actually has it. Right then, you both have it.
Correct. And cautionary tale, because I used to, maybe Google's done something to protect this better. I used to stupidly go poking around in those folders, and I sometimes I would get rid of things or move them, and then I wouldn't know where I put them, and it was just a mess. So cautionary tale, be careful, like look but don't touch to start with, at least to see, and then once you get more comfortable with it, you can have greater freedom with it. So
thank you.
Good. You're welcome. Thank you all very much. You're all rock stars. You're all doing great heroes work, heroines work. I'm really impressed. Deborah, did you have a question or comment?
I want to make a comment.
Sure.
If you post to multiple classrooms, you cannot schedule a different date. So multiple classrooms require you to post it that day. Mm-hmm. Because the kids get it all the time because I was, okay, maybe I can just schedule. So if you want to schedule it for a different day, you need to go to each class. Otherwise, that post goes out right as soon as you hit it. So you can't assign it for a future date, which is a little annoying because it'd be nice if that got fixed. We could, because I don't want mine going out. If I'm doing this at 10 o'clock at night, I don't want that post going out at 10 o'clock at night. I want it going out the next morning so they don't have as many things to look through.
Sure. And you could, instead of saving it as a scheduled thing, you could save it as a draft and then just go back in the morning and do it. I mean, that's another way around that. But yeah, it's an extra step. And I know Judy can attest to this. Google is always trying to make improvements to things, but they have taken features away from Classroom that I used to love, and they've moved some things around that they don't offer anymore. So I'm like, every time I get on Classroom and they've changed things, I always hope that they haven't changed any of some of the features that I really like. So, but they have, over the years, they've added and taken things away. So,
but they're also pretty responsive if you contact them too. I've found that.
Are they ever? They ever? I've gotten emails back from real Google people. I'm so amazed at, and then I see like they do things. It's really remarkable. So it's cool. Very cool. They're super responsive. So I encourage you to play around with this a little bit. Like I said, set up an empty class, and you can invite me to be a student if you want. You can invite some of your colleagues to be students in your class, and you can play around with it a little bit. And I'm happy to help you troubleshoot in any way that I can to make this a useful tool for you. Okay?
Great. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Everybody have a great afternoon, and I hope you get a chance to maybe go out and enjoy a little bit of sun before it's gone.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
We'll see you, everybody. Thank you so much.
Bye.